Hello, welcome to All Things Odd. I'm Dr. Natalie Phillips.
And I'm Mary Kate.
Yep, so this is not Hannah. Dr. Galloway stepped out, and so Mary Kate and I are going to be handling the show today. So we're super excited to have you come in. I'm going to put this up on the screen and have Mary Kate just talk about our YouTube channel real quick. So go ahead and do that.
Yeah, of course. So all of our old videos are actually saved into our YouTube channel, and you can easily access them. We've saved them all and organized them into playlists. So if you go to the playlist tab on our YouTube and you can kind of scroll through. So if you're interested more so in music versus hearing protection or kind of cochlear implants, this is where you can find all of that information in one place. It's also especially handy if you have any friends or family that don't have social media. This is definitely the easiest way for you to share the link to our videos.
Yeah. Also, we are doing a giveaway too. So we'll talk about that real quick. Let's see who joined us. Let me just remove that off the screen. And it is...
Oh, that's one of my friends.
Oh, hello. Okay, so I'm just going to put it up so that she can get on there.
Hi.
And how do you say her name?
Abby.
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 Oh, I'm so sorry, Abby. So Abby, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. All right. So we're super excited to talk. But before we have that, do you have that little... yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit more about a giveaway that we're doing for referrals. And so we'll post a link as well, because this is just kind of a little too shiny and everything to see. But for reviews, that if you go to one of our sites to review us, so Google or Facebook, right here on Facebook, if you're watching us right here on Facebook, you can leave a review, or Healthy Hearing as well. So we're on Healthy Hearing, but we are giving away an electronic bundle. So that's what stemmed this conversation today. And we'd love to hear from you too. So we're giving away a set of, well, actually an AirTag, because I have a whole story about AirTags, but that's for another day. And then also a recharger type of like
a bank.
Yeah, like a recharging bank. And then also a hearing aid accessory of choice. And so if you are able to leave us a review, we are taking reviews for up until August 31st. And then we'll pull a name for an electronic bundle. Oh, Abby says, wow. Thank you, Abby. Okay, so, but today what we're going to talk about, super exciting. So I asked both Mary Kate, we have two students. So I asked Mary Kate and I asked our other student, Haley, what should we talk about, right? And we had a lot of different things. We're going to have kind of an exciting topic next week. If you joined us last week, Mary Kate wasn't here and she was really bummed. But last week, if you didn't see our topic from last week, yes, it was French Fry Day, National French Fry Day. So we did talk about French fries and your hearing. Yeah. So if you missed that, you might want to go back and check that out, because it was kind of fun. We are eating French fries. We were limited to only 6 because of some of the things that we were reading to you about. But yeah, so it was super fun. But today, what Mary Kate came up with, which I thought was a great topic, is to kind of talk a little bit more about streaming devices, right? So we do have hearing aids here that you're able to use as streaming devices, which means that you can stream directly to your phone. But what's interesting is, for some people who might want to still use some of these really cool technology pieces that are coming out, whether they're earbuds or headphones. I know my daughter wants this new like Apple headphones that are like $500. And I was like, are you serious? So we're going to kind of break it down and see some of the different types of earbuds, headphone like choices that you have. And so we have a couple of different things that we want to talk to you about. So yeah, Mary Kate came up with this great idea. We're going to talk about it. And then also for those of you who joined, because I now do see another person here, Kelly.
That's another one of my friends.
Yay! So glad that Mary Kate's on here with us and you guys are supporting her. So thank you guys. So again, write in the comments, as we're talking. This is why we like to do live shows, because we like to take, some of your comments in and put it in the show to help everybody, right? So this is more of a collaborative thing. That's why we do it live. Yes, you see our blunders and you see whatever it is that we do, but at the same time, we're trying to open it up so other professionals that know, or other people that have some comments or, something that they want to input, that they can. So super interactive. Collaborative. If you feel like there's something that you might have a question about, or you have a disagreement about, or you're like, hey, I found my favorite one, then put it in the comments and we'll add it to the show so everybody that's watching this can benefit. So, okay. So one of the first things that we're going to talk about is what is noise canceling and how does it work? So thought it was interesting. I had to look this up because I kind of knew what it was with the cancellation of waves, but we have the more like scientific explanation of what exactly noise canceling is. So with noise canceling headphones, it doesn't really stop sound waves, but there are what they call anti-waves, or there's peaks and valleys. So it does kind of cancel out some of the sounds that you're taking in, or what they call as intruding sound waves. And there is that peak and valley cancellation so that you're able to hear what's coming through your headphones, but all the stuff that's coming out from the outer part or in the environment, I should say, those are going to be what's being canceled out. So the headphones are what does it, right? And it creates a sound that is exactly opposite to that sound wave so that it can cancel it out so that all you should hear is that sound that you're streaming, whether it's music or podcasts, books on tape, whatever it is. It is a digital signal processor inside the headphones that calculates exactly what type of sounds or sound waves are going to be able to be used to cancel out those unwanted sounds. So based on physics, that applies to sound waves with frequencies that have exactly that 180-degree out of phase with each other, cancels each other out, which results in that silence that you are typically noticing when you put on noise canceling headphones. I love my AirPod Pros because I cannot do without them. I know that when I'm on the plane and I'm watching a movie from my phone or from some other device, I love to be able to tune everything out and to be able to hear a lot more on the plane. So that's where I use my noise canceling type of AirPod Pros. Also, I noticed that when I was in my room, and was it last year or the year before? Anyway, our air conditioning went off and we had like this super loud, high industrial fan going. And I remember that's when I first got my AirPod Pros and I turned it on and I tested out the noise canceling. Oh my gosh, I literally looked around because I thought my husband had walked into the room and like turned that fan off because it was so loud. And all of a sudden I was like, where did the fan go? Did somebody just turn it off? It was my noise canceling. So like these like phase canceling types of things with the sound waves really truly help. So if you have a favorite noise canceling headphone, put it in the chat so that we can put it in the show as well. But that's basically what it does. Now, the common question is, about noise canceling is it safe to use all day? Can I use it at night? Can it cause tinnitus? And so I'm going to talk about that real quick, just from the tinnitus point of view, because I'm a tinnitus provider for the past 25 years. Okay. So this is just my opinion. So again, if you have other opinions, put it in the chat and the comments so that we can add to our show as well. Kellyanne says she loves her AirPods. Yeah, I do too. Like they're amazing, but some people can't use AirPods as much, right? Because it doesn't fit, but we'll talk about that as well. So my take on, is it safe to use all day, all night? Okay. I would probably say from the tinnitus point of view and a tinnitus provider, I normally counsel people and teach them about a research that was done called the Heller and Bergman research, finding out that when people are put in a quiet environment, right? So right before you go to bed at night, when you first wake up in the morning, if we put you in the booth for long enough, like your brain can pick up on softer level sounds that are always occurring. So people that do have hearing loss notice their tinnitus more because they're in a quieter environment. So from the tinnitus perspective, if you are using it all day, right, noise canceling, or even sleeping with it at night, you're almost tricking your brain that you have to have a quieter environment in order for you to sleep, right? Or you might also notice your tinnitus more because of that quiet environment. So for my recommendation, because I'm a tinnitus provider, I would probably say I wouldn't really recommend to wear it all day or all night because I would be afraid of the level that your brain is able to, well, two things, the level that your brain is able to process and perceive and evaluate and sound in more of a quieter environment, like you're tricking your brain. And then also the possibility of you being able to notice your tinnitus more in a quieter environment if you're using noise canceling for extended periods of time, like while you're sleeping or all day long. So that's my perspective. For my patients anyway, if you've been doing it and you're loving it, great. But if you are definitely someone who struggles with tinnitus and starts to notice it more in a quiet environment, I would probably say don't use it all day or all night. Okay, so that is the first thing that we're going to talk about. How does noise canceling, what is it and how does it work? And then I'm going to have Mary Kate talk a little bit more about safety with earbuds and headphones first.
Awesome. So one of the big things when you get earbuds, especially the ones that go in your ears, is you want to make sure that you're putting them in right. I know that that sounds kind of silly, but you would not believe the amount of people that like can't tell their right from their left or don't realize that it's supposed to go in a certain way. And so most earplugs will actually tell you, it'll have like an L or an R on them. And so that tells you, I have to use that for my AirPods still. Like it should just come right out, but sometimes I still have to like look at them and everything. Some are universal. I have a pair of loop earplugs that we'll be talking about later, and those ones are universal. And so those ones can go in either ear. But if it tells you right or left ear, make sure you're putting it in the right way. And then when you're putting them in, I often suggest to people to maybe pull back on your ear a little bit because that straightens out your ear canal. And that just makes sure that when you're putting the headphone in or the earbud that you're getting it as far in as you can. Mm-hmm. And that's just going to make sure the sound comes through all the way. As well with that, then that's make sure that you get it in enough so that it's not going to be creeping out or falling out. I also think another big thing is to give it like a little twist once it's in to kind of make sure that it's fully sealed. And I think that that just kind of helps give it a better seal too, so that it doesn't fall out. Mm-hmm. I'm paranoid about losing like an AirPod or one of my earbuds because like those are expensive, you know? So I'm always like constantly pushing them in. So also a lot of other earplugs offer different ear sizes. The AirPod Pros do, which I think is really cool. So you can change the size on it if you have smaller ears or bigger ears. And that just makes sure that you get the most comfortable fit.
Yep, absolutely. All right. So then we're going to talk a little bit more about, before we head over to like earbuds and headphones, the question is about like what's safe for my child, right? And back when a lot of these portable devices came out, there was one brand that I would always recommend to parents called Child Safe. And then it ended up being that you could just order these on Amazon. I think that you could still order these on Amazon. But we also found, so we're going to kind of, we did some research. We like to do some research before we actually give you some information. But there's so much information out there. So our stance is basically trying to introduce you to some different things. But again, you can Google it, obviously, and you can look it up on the internet and find, you know, something that, an article that you want to read. But we did find some different devices that are just kind of listed here. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on one second. I think it is. We have an article and we have some different articles pulled up as well. Okay, it's this one here. So we found a New York Times article asking about which ones are basically the best. And now if you Google or if you put in the search, I hate using Google, even though because it's a term like Kleenex, right? It's like use a tissue, not a Kleenex, because then you know it basically is. Using the brand name. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So we are going to see if we can pull up this New York Times article because it was just written on July 10th of this year. So so many things change, right? And so that's why we're trying to let you know that if you kind of search something, it's going to be constantly updating. And so even what I thought was like the child safe one that you can order online, there is actually, just trying to make sure we pull up the right one.
Oh, I think under window.
Oh, yes. Thank you. I'm so blind. That's why we have students here. And I know I have my readers up here. But yes, so thank you. I was looking for that. Okay, so that's what you see now here. Okay, so this particular article, if you can see, it's the New York Times by Wirecutter, right? Wirecutter. And it walks you through some different options for headphones for kids. And they do I wanted to pull this part up here because in this particular article, it says how we picked and tested these headphones, right? For safer volume levels, noise isolation, different uses. So interestingly enough, also, when you're looking for different headphones too, it depends on what you're doing, right? I know Mary Kate's going to talk about that later, but you could be gaming. You could be listening to books. You could be listening to music. And then also, especially for kids, I love how they said this is how we picked and tested them about design too. Because if you think about it, children's heads are smaller, right? And also you want it to be really light, right? And so there's a lot of things. So this is their choice. This is also July 10th article. So it could change, in a month, right?
Mm-hmm.
But these are some of the best kid headphones for music and videos. And so this is something that we just looked up really quick. They do like, for some reason, this Puro Sound Labs, but there's a lot of different reasons, and you can kind of go through that. And then right here talks about the decibel level, right? And so the safety level. Also, being a mom myself, one of the things that I do love as well is I kind of tell people, you know what? And I tell my kids this too. If I'm walking by and I can hear what's coming out of your headphones, like, you need to turn it down, right? And so, so that's what I tell my kids as well. So that is just kind of looking at some quick child safe ones. You can look it up on your own and kind of do a search and then read through them as well. Okay, so then we're going to head through favorite earbuds. And I'm going to let Mary Kate take this because she also has her favorite and the research that she did too. So I'm going to have her talk about this.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of different earbuds and kind of just like noise canceling headphones and earplugs, I guess, specifically for adults. And like we mentioned earlier, you can really Google it, and there's a lot of different options out there, and actually a lot of really good ones on Amazon these days. The kind that I prefer are the Loop earplugs. They come in this nice little carrier. I ordered it off the Loop website, and it took me like a week or two to get them. And then my friend got one off Amazon in like a day. So I was kind of jealous. But some things that you want to consider is how you're going to be using them. Do you want it to help you study? Are you going to be at concerts and that's why you're looking for noise reduction? Are you going to be gaming? Are you going to be streaming and you also want some noise reduction? There's a lot of things to consider. For me personally, I was looking for one when I go out to concerts or when I'm in noisy environments. Some other things to look for, it will tell you a decibel reduction rate, and it might list it to you as kind of like a ratio. It's called the NRR, the noise reduction ratio, or range, I think it is actually. And that basically tells you if you put them on, and the range actually gives you if you put them on poorly and you don't have a good fit to if you have the best fit, it'll give you the range of reduction. But I believe that these Loop ones are minus 18 decibels. And some of the Loop ones I thought was really cool. You actually can get like an extra filter so that you can get more noise reduction. So they're very customizable. There's filtered earplugs, non-filtered ones. I do believe that these are filtered so that speech sounds come in a little bit better than kind of those non-speech sounds, since that is what I was looking for. And another thing that I really liked about the Loop, I'll show them. They come in like a bunch of colors. I just got like clear. I think I got the Experience. So
those are those just filtered earplugs, or are they actual earbuds?
Filtered earplugs.
Okay, so we just want to make sure.
Yeah, so these are earplugs, and they're just meant for noise cancellation, and they fit in super easily, and you can't even really tell. They come with a bunch of colors, and they also came with about 5 or 6 different size types for the little squishy part on the end. And so that's really helpful for people who have maybe funky sized ears and you just really need to make those changes.
Okay.
I hear from a lot of my friends that they can't do like AirPod Pros because of the squishes at the end. And I think that the Loop did a really good job of making it versatile and putting a lot of sizes. And that's why that's my choice. Also,
so we just want to make sure that you guys understand. So we were talking about things that you can stream, right? So earbuds and headphones, right? Those are Bluetooth things most of the times nowadays, right? Bluetooth, wireless, either earbuds or headphones that you can stream from your phone or mobile device. What Mary Kate's talking about too, so the Loop is actually filtered earplugs. They still do noise canceling though. So that's what she's talking about with the filters. And NRR stands for noise reduction rating. Okay, so what that does is it's going to tell you on your box or your whatever you buy it in, the amount of average of decibels that it's going to actually reduce. So her filtered earplugs, I should say, not earbuds, but her filtered earplugs are still giving her some noise cancellation. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys understood that we were talking about earbuds. Actually, let's kind of skip to here so that we can leave earplugs up so that you know. So filtered earplugs definitely give you some noise canceling, but they're not electronic, right? So they're not going to be connected to your phone. They're not going to be, streaming anything. They're just earplugs with filters in them. Yeah, so we'll leave this one up. So.
Yes, sorry. So
No,
yeah,
no,
these are mainly for noise cancellation, noise reduction in terms of going to concerts, or if you're in like the library and you want to focus on typing your paper, these would be a great option for that. And Loop actually has about 4 different kinds, and they have like a quiz on their website for what you're looking for. So if you really only want it for concerts, they have a suggestion, or if you want it more versatile, they have a suggestion as well.
Yeah.
So just a lot of different options and customizations with Loop, and that's why they were my favorite, although it's not a sponsored video.
Okay. All right. So Abby says, great recommendation. That's awesome. Okay. So, let's talk, since we're talking about filtered earplugs, because I think it's interesting. When we did some volunteer work with Music Cares, we were making filtered earplugs for musicians that came through the New West Fest, which is a music type of event here in Fort Collins. And so we would take ear impressions, and they were customized filtered earplugs for musicians. So let's talk about that, since we're talking about filtered earplugs. Like, when would you use them for, and what are they used for? So I'm going to talk about a couple things, and then we'll get back to musicians. Just know that with the earbuds and the headphones, we really don't have anything but links that you can look up. So back to like what we're talking about with streaming and using it electronically and hands-free, we'll put up some links in the comments after our show, but we're going to kind of stick with filtered earplugs for right now. And so I know that people that have auditory processing disorders, or APD, some people recommend filtered earplugs. I know that they try it out. They have them wear it in 1 ear, 2 ears, whatever. When you come to our office, we do auditory processing evaluations, but we normally don't go the filtered earplug route. What we do is, depending on what's going on, we can make referrals to the proper provider that you might need, because there might be something that we find out that is auditory processing, or it could be something else with processing, right? So we are more of that type of comprehensive panel of providers that can help you. Sometimes with auditory processing, even mild gain hearing aids help as well. So with auditory processing, yes, filtered earplugs sometimes are used. We don't necessarily recommend or use filtered earplugs for our auditory processing patients. The other type of thing that the question might be is, can you use filtered earplugs for tinnitus and sound sensitivity? Well, if you're using it like how Mary Kate is using it, maybe if you're studying, right, and you want to just take a little bit of the noise down, filtered earplugs, unless you're using a fully attenuating filter, are not going to be blocking you out entirely, but it might help you focus and concentrate. So I guess when you go back to auditory processing disorders, you can use it maybe for that, but we don't necessarily recommend filtered earplugs all the time for auditory processing. For tinnitus and sound sensitivity, it kind of depends. Here at our office, we also do sound sensitivity and tinnitus sound therapy. So we actually use sounds to help retrain the brain for sound sensitivity and tinnitus. So most of the times when we're starting to work with you, we get off of earplugs of any kind, because you're going to have to be using other devices to help retrain the brain. So from our standpoint, again, this is just for our practice. From our standpoint, we recommend not using earplugs for tinnitus. Obviously, we talked about that Heller and Berkman article, and how if you're in a quieter environment, you might notice your tinnitus more. Or sound sensitivity, again, tricking your brain that it's a lot quieter. So using sound therapy, we feel, helps you desensitize and habituate a little bit more and faster. And so we use different things for sound sensitivity and tinnitus. But then I'll have Mary Kate talk a little bit more about when musicians would use filtered earplugs.
So I was in marching band in high school, and the whole time they were like, you guys should be wearing earplugs. And we as teenagers were like, we don't need to do that. Biggest regret of my life. I think that musicians' earplugs are a pretty hot seller. And once again, you can find those on Amazon, and I highly suggest them for any musician, even if you're just in your high school marching band. There's a lot of different things to look for when you're looking at musicians' earplugs. And one of the big things is actually the type of filters. And so this was really interesting for me to learn about. Two of the big kinds of filters they have were a high fidelity, and that's the top line. And that is really the earbuds and the earplugs are trying to keep the structure of the signal as close to the original as possible. A flat response is the other most popular type of filtering, and that's just kind of like an equal across all frequencies. So that just kind of brings the noise down by the same amount all across all of them.
Mhm.
And that one might not be as helpful for musicians because, as I'm sure you guys know, that it doesn't all need to be reduced, just certain parts of it.
Mhm.
So when we talked about that noise reduction rating, that's what it is.
Mhm.
Okay, the noise reduction rating. So that is listed on most of the like the etymonic research or the Fender earplugs for musicians. And so that has that kind of decibel reduction range for you based on your insertion. And then I'd say the biggest thing for musicians to look for is ones that are going to have good sound quality. You might have to do a little bit of trial and error, but obviously, if you're playing the music, you want to make sure it's sounding right. Or if you're listening to the music, you want to make sure you're hearing it the way it was intended to be. So you want to make sure you're finding ones that are going to provide you with good sound quality to get the best out of your experiences.
Yeah. And I think especially with musicians, the ones that I've worked with, when you come into our office or you come in to see an audiologist where we have to take impressions, ear impressions for custom musicians' earplugs, we have different filters that you can take out and put in different ones. So a lot of the time, some of my musicians buy two different filters. So one would be they would be using for rehearsals, another they would be using for performances, and then sometimes they want a fully attenuating one to protect their hearing for when they attend concerts themselves, right? But the nice thing about filtered earplugs, especially for musicians, is it allows that safety, like Mary Kate had talked about, over these peaks that could be harmful to your hearing. But then it allows you to still hear like your bandmates, right? Or whatever it is that you need to hear. And so the filtered earplugs are super helpful for musicians. But again, talk to your audiologist because there might be options for you to have multiple filters and use it for multiple things with just that one particular one. And the reason why we do a lot of custom musicians earplugs too is because it's a lot more comfortable for people. And so, the ones that you can get over the counter or ordering online, they can also help. But if you're noticing that they hurt after a while, you might want to head into an audiologist's office and have them take an ear impression and have more of a custom fit and have a different type of material that's used for musicians earplugs. Yeah. All right. So I think that's about it. So tune in to next week because we have a great topic for you. It's going to be fairly relevant to some of the legislation and things that are being talked about. So it's going to be kind of interesting. Again, if you missed our last week's episode about French fries, and you're hearing, you have to go back because it was National French Fry Day last week. And we had a lot of fun with that topic, finding out some great facts for you guys. But other than that, we will be back here every Thursday at 12:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and we will see you then. So thanks for joining.